So President Obama has another new plan to close Guantanamo Bay Detention Center in Cuba. You might remember that this was one of President Obama's more specific campaign promises back in 2007 and 2008, 7 years after President Obama said, I will close Guantanamo Bay Detention Center, and he was not able to do it. He now has a new plan again. And our sort of analysis at the time was President Obama fell for the trap of making specific campaign promises. You want to be really vague, right? I will strengthen Social Security, maybe by expanding benefits or maybe by privatizing it altogether, right? You can say I'll strengthen it and then be a total right or left winger and sort of say it's still what I believe to be strengthening it. Saying I will close Guantanamo Bay right away may be a strategic mistake, although I appreciated the specificity of it.
Yeah, it really didn't seem like that ridiculous a promise, right?
No.
How hard is it really to do that? You transfer the people in there and you close it. Well, nobody wanted them in the United States.
Right.
And so therein lies the problem. But I guess the amount of detainees has significantly shrunk over the course of Obama's presidency.
Yeah.
And so now maybe it's easier than ever.
So people may not know this, but what Lewis is referring to is that there are now under 100 detainees remaining at Guantanamo Bay, okay? The idea is we'll transfer some to other countries, move the rest who are deemed too dangerous to be released in any way, but apparently not actually convictable or even indictable because they continue to sit there with no charges against them. We'll move those who are, quote, too dangerous to detention facilities in the U.S., which haven't yet been chosen. The U.S. said that the plan would identify 13 potential U.S. sites for transfers. Options include the federal Supermax prison in Florence, Colorado, the military prison in Leavenworth, Kansas, the Naval Consolidated Brig in Charleston, South Carolina. That'd be Lewis's choice, I think, if he had to be relegated to solitary confinement at one of these places. The U.S. officials said this would save the U.S. government somewhere between $65 and $85 million per year compared to housing at Guantanamo. The Republican response, hey, they're too dangerous to be in our country. So what you're saying is the prisons that you rely on to incarcerate so many of our most hardened criminals, and by the way, lots of nonviolent drug offenders, which makes no sense, even those facilities aren't good enough to keep these guys in. I mean, doesn't saying that they're too dangerous to even go to Supermax in Florence, isn't that an indictment of our prisons?
Well, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what to think about this because there's the xenophobic aspect.
Right.
That these are dangerous Muslims with terrorist connections. And, there's that. I don't know. I don't know if it's an indictment of the prison system, but I just see the xenophobic part.
And I want to talk a little bit more about the specific numbers, right? Because the claim from the right is, oh, tons of terrorists coming to the U.S. This is terrible. The reality is 34 of the fewer than 100 detainees that are left, 34 have already been approved to be released by the summer. Okay, that gets rid of 34. 10 are expected to undergo military tribunals, right? So they are going to be charged, indicted, and tried in a military tribunal. 47 people are left to either be sent home or to a third country for the detention, if that third country wants to take them, or to one of our highest security prisons in the United States. We're talking about 47 individuals here, right? We have millions of people in our prison system. We're talking about 47 individuals here. And I want to go one step further on this. President Obama could unilaterally order the closure of the prison at Guantanamo. He could do that, and the administration hasn't ruled it out. I would not be shocked if before the end of his presidency, if he doesn't get anywhere with this, he says, I'm taking action on this and we are closing Guantanamo Bay.
Maybe. I guess it's possible that there's some opposition here just because it's something Obama wants to do and the Republicans don't want Obama to successfully do anything.
Right. Well, both sides might feel like this is mostly symbolic. Democrats or the left saying for symbolic reasons we should close this.
Right.
And Republicans saying for symbolic reasons we can't let President Obama have this victory. But it actually is more than just symbolism. I mean, yes, it's the symbolism of what having this open represents for the United States, but there's sort of a practical reality of being able to take the moral high ground when you are indefinitely detaining individuals with no charges against them in Cuba, right? I mean, there's certainly something sort of practical about that. We'll take a break. After the break, I'll talk to attorney Mike Papantonio. You might assume, and you wouldn't be crazy to assume, that baby powder is just sort of a safe and uncontroversial material. It turns out, according to a recent court ruling, that that is not the case.